Dawn breaks softly over a field of dew-covered grass. Each blade glistens in the first pale light, trembling under the weight of droplets that magnify a world too small for the naked eye. The air is still. No wind, no warning. Then the ground vibrates. Beneath the earth, something moves with determination. A tunnel collapses inward. Grains of soil shift like falling stones. In the darkness, a pair of mandibles close with mechanical precision. The sound is almost inaudible, but the intention is unmistakable. On the forest floor, a bullet ant emerges from the shadows. Its body is armored with an obsidian sheen, each segment flexing with deliberate control. The antennae project forward, exploring invisible chemical trails. There is no hesitation in its movement. No movement wasted. It advances like a patrol unit in hostile territory. High above, a praying mantis sways gently among the leaves, mimicking the rhythm of a wind that is not there. Its triangular head turns with an unsettling calm, compound eyes locking onto a passing fly. Time fractures into slow motion. The forelegs unfold in a flash of spined steel. Impact. Silence again. The attack lasts less than a tenth of a second. Across a distant plain, the sky darkens without clouds. A low, undulating hum grows on the horizon. Thousands, then millions, of wings beat in synchrony. A swarm of locusts rises, devouring the sun in a shifting veil of bodies. The air thickens, leaves disappear beneath a cascade of hunger. What remains green and thriving in one moment is reduced to skeletal remains the next. In the undergrowth of a tropical rainforest, a slender wasp lands on the trembling body of a caterpillar. The victim writhes, but the wasp's abdomen arches with surgical precision. A needle-thin ovipositor slides forward, probing, searching. It pierces the flesh. An egg is deposited into living tissue. The caterpillar staggers away, unaware that its fate has already been sealed from within. The rain begins to fall. A river overflows beyond its banks. On the flooded ground, fire ants interlock their legs, weaving their bodies into a living raft. They do not panic. They assemble. Thousands merge into a single floating organism, carrying their queen at the center, drifting toward higher ground. Survival here is not an act of heroism. It is instinct refined over millions of years. Everywhere, mandibles close, stingers pierce, wings beat. Beneath the soft colors of morning lies a kingdom defined by efficiency and relentless force. This is not chaos. It is structure. It is strategy. It is power measured in millimeters and delivered with absolute precision. Beneath our feet, beyond our sight, an ancient empire wages a merciless war. Welcome to the world of brutal insects. Violence in the insect world is not driven by anger. It is driven by design. A bullet ant clings to the bark of a tropical rainforest tree, its body poised in stillness. When threatened, it delivers a sting so powerful that the pain can last for hours, radiating through muscle and nerve like a living current. The venom is not cruelty. It is defense, an evolutionary warning etched in chemistry. For predators that learn the lesson once, it is rarely forgotten. Across the desert floor, a tarantula hawk wasp advances toward a spider nearly its own size. The confrontation is swift. A single sting, placed with precision, paralyzes the tarantula without killing it. The venom targets the nervous system, disabling movement while preserving life. The spider will become living sustenance for the developing larva of the wasp. In this world, efficiency is survival. Some insects rely not on potency, but on numbers. A column of army ants floods the rainforest floor, a coordinated front of thousands. Individually, each ant is small. Together, they are overwhelming. They climb over logs, pour into burrows, and dismantle prey with synchronized ferocity. There is no central commander. Coordination emerges from chemical signals, pheromones laid out like invisible highways. Each ant responds to the scent, reinforcing paths, amplifying direction. The swarm behaves as a single organism. Two, fire ants operate with similar precision. When their mound is disturbed, workers surge from hidden tunnels in a coordinated wave. Their stings are delivered in unison, venom sacs contracting simultaneously. A predator that lingers too long faces not one attacker, but hundreds. Elsewhere, brutality takes a quieter form. An ichneumon wasp perches on the bark of a tree. Its antennae tap the surface, detecting vibrations beneath the wood. Hidden inside is a beetle larva. The wasp arches its abdomen and drills downward with a hair-thin ovipositor, navigating invisible corridors until it reaches its target. An egg is laid. Weeks later, the host will be consumed from within. It is not malice that guides the wasp's actions. It is instinct refined by selection over millions of generations. In a humid wetland at dusk, a mosquito lands lightly on exposed skin. Its mouthparts unfold into a delicate array of needles. One pierces, searching for blood vessels beneath the surface. The mosquito does not feed out of aggression, it feeds to reproduce. Yet in the exchange, pathogens may be transmitted: malaria, parasites, viruses, microscopic passengers that transform a simple bite into a global threat. Among insects, the smallest can carry the greatest consequence. A praying mantis rotates its triangular head, tracking movement with binocular precision. A dragonfly intercepts its prey mid-air, adjusting trajectory in fractions of a second. These predators do not hesitate. Their success depends on speed, on refined sensory systems, on anatomy designed for capture. Insects do not kill for dominance. They kill to eat, to defend themselves, to reproduce. What appears brutal to human eyes is, in truth, evolutionary efficiency, life optimized to its most inflexible form. And beyond these individual encounters lies something greater. Rainforests hum with invisible networks. Savannas pulse with seasonal swarms. Wetlands shimmer with wings at dusk. The stage is vast. The conflict is constant. The rainforest does not sleep. Humidity hangs in the air like a living presence, thick and relentless. Each breath feels borrowed from the forest itself. Moisture gathers on vines, drips from broad leaves, and sinks into soil layered with centuries of decomposition. Nothing here truly dries. Nothing remains still for long. At ground level, the leaf litter shifts almost imperceptibly. A curled brown leaf trembles, then lifts as a beetle pushes through the debris. Beneath the surface, tunnels weave the soil into hidden networks. Roots intertwine with fungal threads. Ants navigate corridors carved into the earth with the same efficiency as any engineered road. The forest floor is only the beginning. Above, the understory forms a dim green twilight where sunbeams fracture into shifting patterns. Here, ant highways run along fallen branches and tree trunks, disciplined columns traveling in both directions. Workers carry fragments of leaves larger than their own bodies, their silhouettes defined against filtered light. Each ant follows a chemical trail, reinforcing it with every step. The line does not waver, it flows. Termite mounds rise from the ground like earthen fortresses. Ventilation shafts regulate temperature with remarkable precision, drawing air upward through internal chambers where millions work unseen. Within these structures, soldiers stand guard with enlarged mandibles, prepared to repel intruders in the darkness. The mound is not simply a nest. It is architecture shaped by collective instinct. Higher still, the canopy spreads like a second forest suspended in the air. Leaves overlap in dense layers, intercepting sunlight before it reaches the ground. Beetles wedge beneath bark, chewing silent galleries through living wood. Some are armored with iridescent shells that flash in emerald and bronze as they move. Others remain cryptic, blending perfectly with lichens and moss. A cicada nymph climbs the trunk of a tree. It has waited years underground, feeding slowly on sap drawn from roots. Now, guided by temperature and season, it emerges into the open air. The exoskeleton splits along its back. A pale, soft-bodied adult frees itself, wings unfolding like fragile glass. By nightfall, it will harden into a creature designed for flight and sound, joining a chorus that can resonate for miles. The rainforest is stratified not only in vegetation, but in time and strategy. Predators stalk beneath leaves. Parasitoids drift among branches. Swarms move in coordinated tides through green corridors. Life here multiplies rapidly, competes fiercely, and disappears just as quickly. Biomass is abundant. Energy flows constantly, from leaf to herbivore, from herbivore to hunter, from hunter to decomposer. Nothing is wasted, nothing remains unused. Even the air vibrates with movement, a sudden flutter, a whisper, a flash of wings. In this suffocating green cathedral, survival is measured in seconds, and among its countless inhabitants, some have refined survival into an art of precision and power, masters of pain, architects of swarms, hunters designed for efficiency. It moves without urgency, yet nothing about it is accidental. The bullet ant, Paraponera clavata, is one of the largest ants in the rainforest, reaching nearly 3 centimeters in length. Its body is dark, almost metallic, the exoskeleton polished like burnished armor. Long legs cling to the bark of a towering tree as it ascends steadily, antennae probing the air for chemical traces invisible to human sight. Unlike many of its smaller relatives, the bullet ant often forages alone. There is no visible column, no obvious swarm. It patrols branches and trunks in deliberate silence, searching for nectar, small arthropods, or intruders that venture too close to its territory. Solitary does not mean vulnerable. The bullet ant carries its own deterrent. Its mandibles flex open and closed, curved blades capable of gripping prey or anchoring in defense. But the true weapon lies at the tip of its abdomen. When threatened, the ant arches its body and thrusts its stinger forward with surprising speed. The motion is precise, almost mechanical. In slow motion, the stinger pierces the skin, injecting venom through a needle so thin it is barely visible to the eye. No movement is wasted. Contact lasts a fraction of a second. The pain that follows is far from brief. On the Schmidt Pain Index, a scale developed by entomologist Justin Schmidt to categorize the intensity of insect stings, The bullet ant occupies the highest level. Those who have experienced it describe a wave of agony that radiates outward, burning, throbbing, and electric, often lasting for hours. Muscles may tremble, limbs may feel temporarily useless. The venom contains potent neurotoxins, including a peptide known as ponerotoxin, which interferes with sodium channels in nerve cells. These channels normally allow electrical signals to pass along nerves. When disrupted, pain signals fire intensely and repeatedly, amplifying the sensation far beyond the initial puncture. For the ant, the purpose is direct. The venom is defensive. A predator that attempts to consume a bullet ant may quickly learn that the cost outweighs the reward. In parts of the Amazon, the sting also carries cultural meaning. Among certain indigenous communities, bullet ants are incorporated into initiation rituals, marking the transition from adolescence to adulthood. Gloves lined with live ants are worn for extended periods, the stings endured as a test of resilience and endurance. The pain is temporary, the lesson is lasting. On the trunk of a rainforest giant, the ant pauses. Its antennae tap against the bark. A vibration travels through the wood. Another insect moving nearby. The bullet ant adjusts its posture, ready to react. In this forest, size alone does not command respect. It is the certainty of response, the chemical precision contained in a single sting. But pain is only one weapon in the arsenal of insects. At first, it appears to be a dark stain spreading across the forest floor. Then it moves. Army ants advance in a widening front, a living river flowing over roots, stones, and fallen leaves. There is no single leader at the head of the column, no scout pointing the way forward. The swarm expands outward in coordinated waves, each ant responding to chemical trails laid moments before. The effect is overwhelming. Everything in their path must flee, hide, or be consumed. Species such as Eciton burchellii are nearly blind. Their eyes detect little more than changes in light. Yet, their coordination rivals that of much larger predators. Communication occurs through pheromones, chemical signals deposited on the ground and reinforced with each passing body. When a worker finds prey, it releases an alarm scent. The signal spreads rapidly, attracting reinforcements within seconds. What begins as an individual discovery becomes a concentrated assault. A grasshopper hesitates 1 second too long. The ants cling to its legs, then to its abdomen. Mandibles cut through tissue with relentless efficiency. Within minutes, the struggling insect is immobilized, dismantled, and carried away in fragments. Even small vertebrates, birds in nests, lizards, rodents, can fall victim if caught off guard. Behind the advancing line, the forest changes. The leaf litter stirs. Burrows are left empty. Webs are abandoned. For many creatures, survival depends on detecting the faint chemical warning that precedes the swarm. Some species have learned to exploit the chaos. Antbirds follow the moving column from low branches above. They do not hunt the ants themselves. Instead, they wait for the insects flushed out by the advancing tide. As prey attempts to escape, the birds dart down to catch them in midair. The ants transform the forest floor into a temporary feeding ground for others, reshaping the food web with each incursion. Unlike most ants, army ants do not build permanent nests. Their colony forms a bivouac, a living structure composed of their own bodies. Workers link legs and mandibles, weaving themselves into a suspended mass that surrounds and protects the queen and larvae at the center. The nest breathes and shifts as the ants rotate positions, the outer layers moving inward to rest while others take their place. It is architecture without soil or stone, built entirely from living tissue. At night, the bivouac pulses softly, thousands of bodies adjusting in response to temperature and disturbance. At dawn, it dissolves. The mass unravels once more into marching columns, the devouring tide resuming its course. This is swarm intelligence, complex behavior emerging from simple rules. Follow the strongest chemical trail. Reinforce successful paths. Attack when signaled. The grass bends with the wind. A single stem sways slightly out of rhythm. What appears to be another leaf is, in fact, a hunter waiting in perfect alignment with its surroundings. The praying mantis does not chase, it calculates. Its triangular head tilts almost imperceptibly. Unlike most insects, the mantis possesses stereoscopic vision, two forward-facing compound eyes that allow it to judge depth with remarkable accuracy. Where many insects perceive only movement and light, the mantis perceives distance. It measures space as a predator must. The eyes track a drifting fly. The antennae remain still. The body holds its posture, elongated and angular, mimicking the geometry of surrounding leaves. Even the subtle swaying of its torso reflects the movement of vegetation in the breeze, reducing suspicion in the approaching prey. Time compresses. The forelegs, folded beneath the thorax in apparent prayer, are far from peaceful. They are raptorial limbs designed for capture. Each is lined with sharp spines that function as barbed hooks. Muscles tense beneath the exoskeleton, storing tension. The fly lands on a nearby blade of grass. In less than a tenth of a second, approximately 0.07, the mantis strikes. The forelegs shoot outward with explosive force, trapping the prey between serrated spines. There is no second attempt. Precision is survival. 5. The mantis begins to feed immediately, powerful mandibles reducing the insect to fragments while it still trembles. There is no venom to paralyze, no web to restrain. The strength of the grip is sufficient. Stillness returns to the grass. The behavior of the mantis can become even more uncompromising during reproduction. In some species, sexual cannibalism occurs when a female consumes the male during or after mating. The act can provide nutritional benefits that increase the likelihood of producing viable eggs. It is not a ritual of dominance, it is energy transfer in its most direct form. The male's genetic contribution persists, even if his body does not. Across fields, forests, and deserts, mantises occupy niches as ambush predators. Their camouflage can resemble leaves, bark, flowers, even orchids in species that attract pollinators directly toward their grasping limbs. The strategy is consistent: remain undetected, strike with precision, conserve energy. The wind ripples through the grass again. The mantis slightly adjusts its angle, recalibrating its line of sight. A beetle crawls along a stem below. The head turns smoothly, nearly 180 degrees, tracking the movement without shifting the body. The calculation repeats. Ambush is not exclusive to the mantis. It is a principle repeated throughout the insect world. Predators hidden in sand, underwater, within flowers, each waiting for the precise moment when movement meets opportunity. Silence, patience, and speed. 3 variables perfectly balanced. And in that balance, brutality becomes almost invisible. Long before birds dominated the skies, before mammals walked upright, dragonflies were already masters of the air. Their lineage dates back more than 300 million years, to a time when giant relatives with wingspans broader than a hawk's patrolled prehistoric swamps. The modern dragonfly is smaller, but no less formidable. Its body is built for efficiency in flight. An elongated abdomen for balance, 4 wings that beat independently for lift and maneuverability. Each wing beat is controlled with remarkable precision, allowing sudden stops, backward flight, and sharp turns in the air. Its head is dominated by compound eyes that nearly meet at the center, granting near panoramic vision. Thousands of individual lenses detect movement with extraordinary sensitivity. Nothing moves without being noticed. A mosquito darts over the surface of a pond. The dragonfly adjusts course instantly. It does not simply chase its prey, it predicts it. By calculating trajectory and speed, the dragonfly positions itself at the exact point where the insect will be, in a fraction of a second. Spiny legs form a basket in front of its body. Impact, capture. Field studies suggest that dragonflies succeed in up to 95% of their hunting attempts. Few predators, insect or otherwise, match that efficiency. There is no hesitation in the attack, no prolonged struggle. The prey is consumed in flight or carried to a nearby perch, where powerful mandibles reduce it to fragments. But the story of the dragonfly begins underwater. Before taking to the air, it spends months or even years as a nymph, an aquatic predator hidden among submerged plants and sediments. At this stage, it is more robust, armored, and equipped with a specialized lower lip called a labium. This extensible structure acts like a spring-loaded harpoon. A small fish swims too close. Without warning, the nymph's labium shoots forward, grasping the fish with hook-like tips. The movement is almost invisible to the human eye. The prey is pulled toward crushing mandibles. Tadpoles, mosquito larvae, even other nymphs fall victim in the murky stillness of ponds and wetlands. When the time for transformation arrives, the nymph climbs out of the water and anchors itself to a reed. The exoskeleton splits open. An adult dragonfly emerges, its wings unfolding and hardening in the open air. The hunter moves from water to sky, from submerged ambush to aerial precision. Across marshes and rivers, dragonflies patrol in constant circuits, their bodies gleaming in metallic blue, emerald, or crimson under sunlight. They are not chaotic flyers, they are deliberate. Ancient design refined by relentless selection. Yet even in open air, danger does not end at the water's edge. Beneath the surface of ponds and along muddy shores, other predators wait, more stealthy, heavier, armed with venom and patience. The brutality of the insect world does not stop when it reaches the water. The surface of a pond appears calm, a mirror of the sky and drifting clouds. But tension holds it together, literally. A water strider glides across the film of the pond without breaking it. Its long, slender legs distribute weight with such precision that they press dimples into the surface without piercing it. Each step is supported by surface tension, the cohesive force that binds water molecules together. The insect's legs are covered in microscopic hairs that repel water, trapping tiny pockets of air and increasing buoyancy. It does not swim, it skates on physics. From above, the water strider perceives vibrations that spread in concentric circles. A struggling mosquito has fallen into the water. The faint disturbance travels across the liquid skin of the pond. The water strider turns instantly, its legs rowing in coordinated movements. It reaches the trapped insect and pierces it with needle-like mouthparts, injecting digestive enzymes before extracting liquefied tissue. Grace and brutality balanced on a molecular boundary. Below that boundary, something heavier waits. The giant water bug, a member of the family Belostomatidae, lurks among submerged stems and decaying leaves. Its body is broad and flattened, built for concealment. Large grasping forelegs fold against its thorax like the arms of a mantis adapted to water. Unlike the water strider, it does not rely on surface tension. It moves through the water with powerful strokes of paddle-like hind legs, disappearing into shadow with a single kick. A tadpole drifts nearby. In a sudden burst, the giant aquatic insect lunges. The forelegs snap shut, immobilizing the prey. A sharp proboscis pierces the soft tissue, injecting enzyme-rich venom. The toxins immobilize and begin digesting the victim from the inside. The insect does not chew. It waits as the interior dissolves, then sucks out the nutrient-rich fluid. Small fish and even juvenile frogs can fall prey to this ambush. The predator is patient, capable of remaining motionless for extended periods, relying on camouflage and stillness. It surfaces occasionally to replenish air, trapping a bubble beneath its wings before sinking again into the dim underwater light. These adaptations are mechanical solutions to survival challenges. Hydrophobic hairs on the legs, extendable piercing mouthparts, grasping limbs designed for aquatic resistance. Each trait shaped by selection pressures in a habitat where movement through water requires both power and subtlety. At the boundary between air and liquid, different strategies dominate. Above, sensitivity to vibration. Below, strength and venom. The pond is not a refuge. It is a layered battlefield. And deeper still in the world of insects, brutality becomes even more intimate, entering bodies, rewriting biology, turning living hosts into incubators for the next generation. In the filtered light of the forest, a slender wasp walks slowly across the bark of a fallen tree. Its antennae tap in rhythmic pulses, reading hidden vibrations beneath the wood. To human eyes, the surface appears inert. To the wasp, it is alive with signals. Deep within the wood, a beetle larva feeds in silence, burrowing through cellulose. It cannot see the predator above it. It cannot hear its approach. The wasp stops. Its abdomen arches forward, revealing an ovipositor so fine it resembles a filament of dark wire. This structure is not a stinger, though it may appear so. It is a precision instrument for reproduction. With steady pressure, it drills downward, the ovipositor sliding through bark and wood fibers. Guided by subtle changes in vibration, millimeter by millimeter it advances toward the hidden larva. When it reaches it, an egg is deposited directly on or within the host. Elsewhere in the forest, a braconid wasp hovers over a robust green caterpillar. The caterpillar feeds voraciously on leaves, unaware of the shadow above it. The wasp darts forward, inserting its ovipositor into the soft tissue in a movement so fast it is nearly invisible. Several eggs are deposited. The caterpillar writhes briefly, then resumes feeding. Days later, the eggs hatch. Small larvae begin to consume the host from the inside, feeding first on non-essential tissues to keep the caterpillar alive as long as possible. The host continues moving, eating, growing, unaware that its body is being gradually repurposed. Eventually, the larvae emerge, spinning silky cocoons nearby. In some species, the weakened caterpillar remains alive long enough to protect those cocoons, defending the very parasites that ended its future. To human sensibilities, this strategy appears ruthless, but in evolutionary terms, it is precise and efficient. Parasitoid wasps occupy a niche between predator and parasite. Unlike typical parasites which feed without immediately killing their host, parasitoids require the eventual death of the host to complete their development. This has triggered an evolutionary arms race of extraordinary complexity. Caterpillars develop thicker cuticles, toxic chemical defenses derived from host plants, or immune responses capable of encapsulating foreign eggs. Wasps respond with longer ovipositors, venom that suppresses immune reactions, and even symbiotic viruses injected along with the eggs to disable the host's defenses. Each adaptation pressures the other side to innovate. Generation after generation, the interaction sharpens. The forest becomes not only a stage of predation, but of internal conquest, biology, rewriting biology in a microscopic contest of survival. For the wasp, the equation is simple: a safe nursery for its offspring. For the host, what is at stake is absolute. Here, brutality is not driven by hunger or territory. It is driven by reproduction. And in the world of insects, the continuation of a lineage often demands strategies that blur the boundary between life and the living host. Heat ripples over the desert ground. The sand radiates the memory of the sun long after it has sunk below the horizon. In this austere landscape of thorns and stone, a flash of metallic blue and burning orange cuts through the stillness. The tarantula hawk wasp patrols low over the ground, its wings vibrating with a deep, resonant hum. Its body shines in iridescent shades of cobalt and black, long and deliberate legs as it lands to investigate burrows etched into the sand. Somewhere beneath the surface, a tarantula waits. The spider is no minor opponent. Thick-legged, fanged, armed with bristling hairs, it is itself a predator of formidable power. But the wasp is specialized. It hunts exclusively spiders, guided by scent and vibration. When it locates a burrow, it enters without hesitation. The confrontation is brief and violent. The tarantula rears up, fangs exposed. The wasp maneuvers with astonishing agility, avoiding strikes with calculated precision. Then the moment comes, an expert sting to the underside of the spider's thorax. The stinger penetrates the soft membrane between the plates of the exoskeleton. The venom acts almost instantly. Unlike the defensive sting of a bullet ant, the venom of the tarantula hawk is designed for control. It targets the spider's nervous system, inducing paralysis without causing death. The tarantula remains alive but immobile, its powerful legs frozen in place. The sting is considered among the most painful in the insect world for humans, an intense, blinding shock that peaks quickly and fades within minutes. For the spider, however, the effect is lasting. The wasp grips the paralyzed tarantula and begins an extraordinary task. It drags it backward across the desert floor, the spider often weighing more than itself. Grain by grain, it carries it toward a prepared burrow. The journey can last hours. There is no urgency in its pace. Its prey cannot escape. Inside the burrow, it deposits a single egg on the spider's abdomen. Then it seals the chamber with soil and leaves. Days later, the egg hatches. The larva feeds with calculated restraint, consuming non-vital tissues first to keep the spider alive as long as possible. Only in the final stage does it devour essential organs. When development is complete, the young wasp pupates within the safety of the burrow, emerging weeks later as a fully formed adult ready to repeat the cycle. In this transaction, nothing is wasted. The spider becomes both cradle and sustenance. The desert may seem barren, but beneath its surface lie burrows, ambush sites, and silent dramas unfolding in hidden chambers. Survival here demands endurance, precision, and tolerance for extremes of heat, of scarcity, of risk. And the tarantula hawk wasp is only one of many desert specialists that have transformed harshness into opportunity. Speed is not just efficiency, it is thermoregulation. Nearby, the ground itself seems unstable. A shallow cone-shaped pit collapses inward without warning. At its center waits an antlion larva, buried beneath loose grains. Only its sickle-shaped mandibles protrude. When an unsuspecting ant slips down the slope, the larva flicks sand upward, further destabilizing the victim. The prey slides within reach. The mandibles snap shut. The antlion injects digestive enzymes and drains the liquefied remains, discarding the emptied exoskeleton from the edge of the pit. This is an ambush designed for arid conditions. The pit trap requires no pursuit or prolonged exposure to heat. Energy conserved is extended survival. Across the dunes, darkling beetles emerge in the cooler hours of dawn. Their matte black bodies absorb heat quickly in the morning chill, allowing them to become active before temperatures peak. Some species in the Namib Desert perform a remarkable behavior. They climb dune ridges and tilt their bodies toward fog-laden breezes. Moisture condenses on their textured exoskeleton and runs toward their mouths. Water collected from the air itself. As the sun climbs higher, these beetles adjust their orientation, lifting one side of the body to reduce direct contact with the scorching sand. Their exoskeletons are thick and wax-coated, minimizing water loss. Spiracles, the respiratory openings along their sides, can be tightly closed to reduce evaporation. Thermoregulation in the desert is a balance between absorbing enough heat to remain active and avoiding lethal extremes. Behavior, body structure, and time of day converge to solve the equation. Venom, ambush, chemical defense. These tools are amplified in an environment where resources are limited and mistakes are fatal. The dunes may appear empty from a distance, but up close they reveal movement, a trail etched in the sand, a pit waiting to collapse, a flash of warning color disappearing behind a rock. Here, survival is written in heat and measured in drops of water. And in the struggle to endure, brutality becomes a necessity rather than an option. Rain does not fall gently in the lowlands. Storm clouds gather. Water surges through fields and forests, filling burrows and swallowing the ground. For many ground-dwelling insects, a flood is a catastrophe measured in minutes. But for fire ants, it is a test of engineering. As water rises around their mound, the workers move with urgent coordination. They do not scatter, they assemble. Each ant grips another with hook-like claws and adhesive pads, linking legs and mandibles into a dense, interwoven mass. Within hours, the colony transforms into a living raft. The queen and larvae are secured at the center, protected by layers of workers that form a floating outer shell. Air pockets become trapped within the structure, increasing buoyancy. The raft flexes but does not break, capable of drifting for days if necessary. This is cooperative survival refined by natural selection. Individually, a single ant would drown quickly. Together they create a structure that behaves like a single organism, resilient, adaptive, responsive to shifting currents. When the raft finds solid ground, it does not collapse chaotically. The ants detach in coordinated waves, rebuilding their colony from scratch. Tunnels are excavated. Chambers are formed. The superorganism re-establishes itself with remarkable speed. Fire ants are not only survivors of natural disasters, they are architects of expansion. Species such as Solenopsis invicta, native to South America, have spread across continents through human trade and transport. Cargo ships, soil shipments, nursery plants, Each becomes a vehicle of dispersal. In new territories, their aggressive behavior and rapid reproduction allow them to outcompete native ants and alter local ecosystems. Their stings are delivered in coordinated bursts, venom sacs pumping alkaloid toxins that cause intense burning sensations and raised pustules. When a mound is disturbed, workers swarm upward within seconds, climbing vertically over intruders before stinging in unison. The response is not random. It is triggered by chemical alarm signals that propagate outward through the colony. Fire ants demonstrate the power of eusocial organization, division of labor, chemical communication, collective defense. No single individual directs the colony. Instead, simple behavioral rules, followed by thousands, produce complex outcomes: floating structures, coordinated attacks, rapid territorial expansion. The floodwaters recede, the land dries. Grass sprouts through the damp soil. Where destruction once seemed certain, a new mound rises, rebuilt grain by grain. Insects do not simply endure environmental change. Many exploit it. Storms become opportunities for dispersal. Shifting landscapes open corridors for colonization. And beyond floods and fixed territories, some species take movement even further, crossing continents, navigating oceans of air, turning migration into one of the most powerful survival strategies in the insect world. In isolation, a desert locust is unremarkable. It rests among dry grasses with cryptic coloration, avoiding contact with others of its species. Its movements are cautious, its appetite modest. In this solitary phase, it behaves like countless other grasshoppers scattered across arid landscapes. But under the right conditions, prolonged rains, sudden vegetation growth, crowding, everything changes. As numbers increase and bodies press against one another, repeated stimulation of the hind legs triggers a surge of serotonin in the locust's nervous system. Chemistry shifts, behavior transforms. Within hours, the once solitary insect enters its gregarious phase. Color intensifies, wings strengthen, instincts realign. What was once avoidance becomes attraction. Locusts begin to aggregate, forming dense marching bands of wingless juveniles known as hopper bands. They move in coordinated waves across the ground, consuming nearly every green shoot in their path. When they mature, they take to the air. The swarm is not random chaos. It operates under the physics of alignment and flow. Each locust adjusts its speed and direction according to the movement of its neighbors, maintaining separation while preserving cohesion. Similar to fish in schools or birds in flocks, simple behavioral rules produce large-scale order. The swarm can stretch for kilometers, contain billions of individuals, and yet move as a unified front shaped by wind currents and collective motion. From the ground, the sky darkens. Wings beat in synchrony, producing a low, continuous roar. Sunlight fractures through layers of bodies. Crops vanish beneath a living cloud. Fields of wheat, maize, and millet can be completely stripped within hours. A single large swarm can consume as much vegetation in a day as tens of thousands of people. Agricultural devastation follows quickly. Communities dependent on subsistence farming face immediate scarcity. Efforts to control swarms, chemical spraying, barrier trenches, biological agents often struggle against the scale and mobility of these outbreaks. Yet the locust is not malicious. It responds to environmental abundance with exponential reproduction and collective behavior. When vegetation declines and densities drop, the swarm gradually dissipates. Individuals return to solitary habits. the sky clears. The phenomenon is a reminder of how quickly ecological balance can shift. Rainfall patterns, temperature changes, and land use modifications influence the frequency and intensity of outbreaks. Insects that seem insignificant in small numbers can, under altered conditions, transform into forces capable of reshaping landscapes. When the last of the swarm fades beyond the horizon, silence returns to the fields. The stalks remain stripped and brittle. The soil lies exposed to wind and sun. Some insects devastate crops. Others carry far less visible consequences, traveling not in clouds, but in the quiet hum of a single pair of wings. Dusk settles quietly over wetlands and villages alike. The air cools, the light fades to amber, and with it comes a sound so faint it almost goes unnoticed. A thin, rising buzz. A mosquito lands softly on exposed skin. Only the female feeds on blood. She requires the protein contained within it to develop her eggs. Her mouthparts are not a single needle, but a set of specialized structures. One pierces the skin. Another searches for blood vessels. Saliva flows first, carrying anticoagulants and mild anesthetics that prevent clotting and dull sensation. Then, feeding begins. In most encounters, the result is a brief itch. But in some regions of the world, that bite carries something far more dangerous. Species within the genus Anopheles transmit malaria, a disease caused by microscopic parasites of the genus Plasmodium. When an infected mosquito feeds, the parasites enter the human host's bloodstream. They travel to the liver, multiply silently, then invade red blood cells. Fever follows, chills, organ damage. Without treatment, the disease can become fatal. The mosquito has no intention to harm. It does not benefit from human suffering. It serves as a vector, a carrier that allows the parasite to move between hosts. However, the scale of the impact is astonishing. Each year, hundreds of millions of malaria cases are recorded worldwide, with hundreds of thousands of deaths, many among young children. And malaria is just one disease on a longer list. Mosquitoes transmit dengue, Zika, yellow fever, West Nile virus. Their range expands and contracts with climate, rainfall, and human development. Standing water in urban containers, irrigation ditches, and forest pools becomes breeding grounds for larvae that hang just beneath the surface, breathing through delicate siphons. From egg to adult can take as little as a week under warm conditions. Rapid reproduction, high mobility, and global distribution make mosquitoes one of the most consequential insects on Earth. Unlike the visible swarm of locusts or the dramatic sting of a wasp, the mosquito's impact operates through number and repetition. One bite at a time. From one host to the next. Its brutality is statistical. A single insect weighs less than a drop of rain. Its wings are nearly transparent. Its lifespan is measured in weeks. Yet, by acting as a bridge between parasite and human, the mosquito has influenced settlement patterns, economic development, public health systems, and even the outcomes of wars throughout history. In the stillness of dusk, another mosquito rises from the reeds. It circles briefly, guided by carbon dioxide and body heat. It lands. Sometimes, the smallest predators cast the longest shadows. If insects are the dominant architects of the natural world, beetles are their armored legions. With more than 350,000 described species, and likely many more undiscovered, beetles represent one of the most successful evolutionary experiments on Earth. Their defining characteristic is protection. Hardened forewings known as elytra that close over the body like shields. safeguarding the delicate flight wings and vital organs beneath. A stag beetle clings to a branch, its mandibles curving outward like antlers forged from chitin. These mandibles are not ornamental. In males, they function as weapons in disputes over mates, grappling and lifting rivals from their perches. The exoskeleton absorbs the force without fracturing, distributing stress across overlapping plates. Lightweight, strong, adaptable, it is biological engineering refined over millions of years. In darker corners of the forest floor, a different kind of weapon unfolds. The bombardier beetle patrols the leaf litter with quiet confidence. When threatened by a predator, an ant, a spider, a curious amphibian, it does not rely on speed. Instead, it aims its abdomen at the attacker and fires. Inside its body, two chemical chambers store hydroquinones and hydrogen peroxide separately. When danger approaches, the compounds mix in a reinforced reaction chamber. Catalysts trigger a rapid exothermic reaction, producing a burst of boiling, noxious aerosol, expelled in audible bursts. Temperatures in the explosion can reach close to 100 degrees Celsius, enough to deter or injure small predators. The discharge is precise, directional, and repeatable. Chemical warfare executed with remarkable control. Yet brutality is only one facet of beetle dominance. On the forest floor, carrion beetles descend upon the body of a fallen animal. Within hours, they begin the work of decomposition. Mandibles tear through flesh. Eggs are laid in nutrient-rich tissue. Larvae hatch and accelerate the process of decay. In doing so, beetles recycle organic matter back into the ecosystem, returning nutrients to the soil and plants. Other species burrow beneath bark, aiding in the decomposition of dead wood. Dung beetles shape and bury animal waste, reducing parasitic loads and fertilizing grasslands. Their work often goes unnoticed, yet entire ecosystems depend on it. Armor protects them, mandibles empower them, chemistry defends them, but their true strength lies in versatility. Beetles occupy deserts, tropical forests, tundras, freshwater margins. They adapt to extremes of heat, cold, dryness, and decay. Some glow faintly in the dark. Others mimic ants or toxic species. Diversity becomes resilience. The exoskeleton that protects a beetle from attack also insulates it against desiccation. The same mandibles that confront rivals can carve wood or flesh. Form and function merge seamlessly. Across continents and climates, beetles demonstrate that survival is not merely about aggression, it is about adaptability. And in the long arc of evolutionary history, adaptability is the most formidable weapon of all. No weapon remains unmatched for long. In the world of insects, every advantage invites a countermeasure. Every defense provokes a new method of attack. This continuous back and forth is known as coevolution. Two species shaping each other's evolution through direct interaction. The predator refines itself. The prey adapts. The predator responds again. The cycle never truly ends. On a slender branch in the understory, a stick insect remains motionless. Its body is elongated, articulated, and colored in mottled browns that replicate bark down to the smallest irregularity. Even its slow swaying mimics the movement of a twig in the wind. To a passing bird, it is invisible. Nearby, a leaf-mimicking katydid clings to a broad green blade. Its wings are veined like foliage, complete with what appear to be fungal spots and bite marks. The illusion is so precise that even close inspection can be deceiving. Camouflage here is not simple color matching. It is structural mimicry, a complete bodily transformation shaped by selective pressure over countless generations. Predators escalate in response. Birds refine visual acuity. They learn to detect patterns that break symmetry. Some develop search images, mental templates that help them identify specific forms of prey hidden among clutter. As detection improves, prey must innovate further. Chemical mimicry adds another layer to this arms race. Certain harmless insects imitate the warning coloration and even the scent of toxic species. Hoverflies adopt the black and yellow bands of stinging wasps. Some beetles produce chemicals that mimic the pheromones of ants, allowing them to infiltrate ant colonies undetected. Once inside, they exploit food stores or feed on larvae. In turn, ants evolve more precise recognition systems, refining their ability to distinguish colony members from imposters. The balance tightens. Plants also enter the contest. Many produce toxic compounds to deter herbivorous insects. Caterpillars that feed on these plants sometimes evolve resistance, storing the toxins in their own tissues and becoming poisonous to predators. A bird that attempts to consume one of these caterpillars may quickly learn to avoid its bright warning colors in the future. Escalation is rarely symmetrical. One adaptation may provide a temporary advantage, but counter-adaptation follows. Longer ovipositors meet thicker bark. Stronger mandibles meet harder shells. More potent venom meets refined detoxification mechanisms. This evolutionary dialogue shapes not only behavior, but also anatomy and chemistry. It produces extraordinary diversity, forms so specialized they seem improbable, yet each grounded in the logic of survival. A stick insect remains still as a shadow passes overhead. The predator scans, hesitates, then moves on. For now, camouflage has prevailed. But somewhere, another predator learns. Another prey species adjusts. In this endless contest, brutality becomes a catalyst for innovation. The pressures of survival sculpt bodies, refine senses, and rewrite genetic codes. The battlefield is not defined only by territory. It is written in the very fabric of DNA. Beneath grasslands and savannas, beneath soil that appears inert and featureless, entire civilizations breathe. Termites are not chaotic swarms. They are architects, farmers, engineers of climate control. A single colony can contain millions of individuals, each performing specialized roles: workers, soldiers, reproductives, united by chemical signals more precise than spoken language. From the outside, a termite mound rises like a cathedral of earth. Some reach several meters in height, hardened by sun and rain into structures as durable as fired brick. But the exterior is only the shell. Inside lies a labyrinth of chambers, tunnels, ventilation shafts, and nurseries. The architecture is not random. It regulates temperature and humidity with remarkable stability, even when external conditions fluctuate drastically between scorching days and cool nights. Air flows through vertical chimneys. Carbon dioxide from fungus chambers is expelled. Oxygen is drawn inward. The mound functions like a living lung. At the center of this empire resides the queen. Unlike the agile workers that build and forage, the queen's body becomes an immense reproductive engine. Her abdomen swells, physogastry, expanding until she can lay thousands of eggs per day. She is not a ruler in the human sense. She does not direct strategy or construction. Instead, she produces pheromones, chemical signals that maintain social cohesion and suppress reproduction in workers. The unity of the colony is biochemical. If the queen weakens, the chemical balance shifts. New reproductives may emerge. The system is decentralized, yet self-regulating, guided by feedback loops rather than hierarchy. Perhaps most astonishing is termite agriculture. Certain species cultivate fungi within their mounds. Workers collect plant material, fragments of wood, grass, leaf litter, and deposit it into carefully maintained fungus combs. The fungus breaks down resistant cellulose and lignin, compounds that termites cannot efficiently digest on their own. In return, termites consume the nutrient-rich fungal growth. It is symbiosis, two species intertwined in mutual dependence. This agricultural system predates human agriculture by tens of millions of years. Long before crops were planted in rows, termites were managing soil fertility, recycling nutrients, and stabilizing ecosystems. The mound itself influences the landscape. Termite structures alter soil composition, concentrate nutrients, and create microhabitats where plants grow more vigorously. Grazing animals are drawn to these patches. A single colony can subtly reshape an ecosystem over decades. All of this unfolds beneath our feet, largely unseen. No monarch issuing decrees, no centralized brain. Instead, collective intelligence emerges from countless local interactions. One worker responds to a pheromone trail, another deposits a pellet of soil, a third tends a fungus comb. Complexity arises from simplicity. These are not primitive societies, they are alternative solutions to cooperation and survival. Civilizations do not need to resemble cities of steel and glass. Some are built of soil and saliva, guided by scent and instinct, sustained by invisible partnerships. In the darkness, in silence, the empire persists. Across forests, fields, and rivers, insects obey the planet's clock. Some travel thousands of kilometers, others wait their time beneath soil or bark, awaiting the precise moment to emerge. Migration and dormancy are survival strategies written into their DNA, allowing species to endure environmental extremes that would overwhelm less resilient organisms. Monarch butterflies are perhaps the most iconic travelers. Each autumn, billions begin an epic journey from North America to the mountains of central Mexico. Individual butterflies cannot complete the round trip in a single lifetime. Instead, successive generations carry the movement forward, guided by the sun, magnetic signals, and inherited instinct. Forests glow orange as they rest in the trees, clustered in tight groups to conserve heat. Their wings, delicate yet powerful, carry them across plains and rivers, forests and farmlands, following a route traced over centuries. Beneath the surface, another rhythm pulses through the soil. Periodical cicadas remain dormant for 13 or 17 years, feeding imperceptibly on root sap. Time itself becomes their camouflage. By emerging en masse in synchronized cycles, they overwhelm predators. Birds, rodents, and even other insects are saturated with more prey than they can consume. Within a few weeks, the adults mate, lay eggs on branches, and die, leaving the next generation to burrow into the ground and repeat the process decades later. In both cases, diapause, the state of suspended development in an insect, plays a crucial role. Temperature, photoperiod, and humidity trigger physiological changes. Metabolic rates slow down. Growth stops. Cells produce protective proteins that prevent tissue damage from freezing or desiccation. Timing is precise. Emerging too early implies risk of starvation. Too late reduces reproductive success. Evolution has refined these clocks with remarkable accuracy. The landscape transforms with the seasons. Rivers rise and recede, leaves unfurl, and wither. Snow covers the slopes. Each change presents both danger and opportunity. Migratory species take advantage of temporary abundance, flowering plants for nectar, growing foliage for egg-laying, and less competition in new territories. Dormant species endure scarcity, relying on internal reserves and protective adaptations. From the treetops to the ground, the world of insects is orchestrated by cycles invisible to the human eye. Migration and dormancy not only ensure survival, they dictate population dynamics, predator-prey relationships, and the rhythm of entire ecosystems. The synchronized emergence of cicadas feeds birds that, in turn, fertilize plants. Monarchs transport pollen, influence flowering success, and maintain genetic flow between regions. Even the smallest insect acts as a traveler and catalyst in seasonal rhythms. Through these journeys, patience and timing become weapons. Predators cannot consume what has not yet emerged. Resources are exploited only when they are available. Life is measured not only in growth and consumption, but in a careful alignment with environmental cycles. In forests, fields, and wetlands alike, cycles repeat endlessly. Wingbeats, molts, burrows, and groupings respond to a rhythm older than human record. Survival depends on movement, on waiting, and on the astonishing ability to predict the world before it arrives. Insects, in their migrations and dormancy, remind us that even the smallest creatures play epic roles in the theatre of life. Insects are both allies and adversaries of humans, operating at the intersection between benefit and disturbance. The most celebrated relationship is pollination. Bees, butterflies, and certain beetles transfer pollen between flowers, enabling the reproduction of countless plant species. Crops, apples, almonds, coffee, and numerous vegetables depend heavily on these small wings and delicate legs. A careful movement, a landing on a flower, sets in motion a chain of fertilization that sustains both ecosystems and economies. Without insects, the global food supply would be drastically reduced, biodiversity would decline, and landscapes would change in ways difficult to imagine. However, the same creatures that sustain life can also devastate it. Swarms of locusts descend upon fields with terrifying efficiency. Fire ants colonize lawns, parks, and agricultural lands, stinging humans, livestock, and native species. Aphids, caterpillars, and leaf miners consume leaves and fruit, reducing yields and forcing farmers to rely on chemical interventions. The insect's success is neutral, a product of evolutionary design, not malice, yet humans feel the consequences directly. The balance between benefit and harm has led to innovative strategies. Biological control uses one insect to limit another. Ladybugs released in greenhouses devour aphids. Parasitic wasps attack crop pests, laying eggs that reduce pest populations over time. Such interventions harness the same evolutionary strategies that predators and parasitoids use in nature, but redirect them for human benefit. Chemical pesticides can act quickly, but they carry the risk of collateral damage, harming beneficial species, pollinators, and ecosystems. Urbanization and agriculture further complicate the picture. Habitat fragmentation, monoculture fields, and water pollution reduce insect diversity, affecting pollination networks and food chains. At the same time, humans unintentionally transport invasive species. Fire ants, imported red ants, and Asian longhorn beetles, creating conflicts in entirely new regions. The dual role of insects requires careful consideration. Protecting pollinators and promoting biological control supports sustainability. Controlling pests protects livelihoods. The challenge lies in nuance, maximizing benefits while minimizing harm. Humans rarely witness the silent efficiency of these creatures. Bees navigate complex landscapes with memory and precision. Ladybugs patrol plants with innate hunting instincts. Even destructive insects operate under ecological rules, exploiting resources, avoiding predators, and reproducing efficiently. Our survival is intertwined with theirs. Agriculture, horticulture, and food security depend on pollinators. Forest management and crop protection depend on understanding predatory and parasitic species. Recognizing the complexity of insect ecology allows humans to coexist with, and sometimes harness, the brutality and ingenuity that these tiny animals embody. Conflict and dependence are two sides of the same coin. Every bite, sting, or crop loss is a reminder of the power of insects. Every pollinated flower and controlled pest demonstrates their indispensability. In their vast numbers and diverse strategies, insects shape human life as much as we shape theirs, an ongoing dialogue. In the quiet corners of fields, forests, and wetlands, an invisible crisis unfolds. Pesticides, once proclaimed as a tool to protect crops, have left invisible scars on insect populations. Beneficial pollinators and predatory species alike suffer, their life cycles disrupted, their behaviors altered. Ecosystems that once buzzed with activity now experience quieter mornings, fewer wing beats, and diminished abundance. Habitat loss worsens the problem. Urban expansion, deforestation, and monoculture, agriculture, reduce the complexity of landscapes on which insects depend. Nesting sites disappear, foraging routes fragment. The richness of microhabitats, fundamental for reproduction and survival, is increasingly rare. Climate change adds yet another pressure. Shifting temperatures, altered rainfall patterns, and extreme weather events disrupt the seasonal signals that govern migration, diapause, and emergence. Species adapted to precise environmental windows struggle to synchronize with their habitats. Studies document alarming declines. Some butterfly populations have decreased by more than half in recent decades. Pollinator diversity declines across continents, and entire insect communities show signs of contraction. The long-term implications ripple through trophic networks, affecting birds, mammals, plants, and ultimately humans. However, even amid these challenges, resilience persists. Many species adapt, migrate, or exploit new niches. Nature remains inventive, and the intricate survival strategies refined over hundreds of millions of years continue to unfold, though now under unprecedented pressures. In a world that often overlooks them, insects continue their ancient wars beneath our notice. But as their numbers change and their territories shrink, the silence they leave behind may resonate louder than any swarm.